So there was. So we got off the recording skipped, and we got off the topic of video games, but we were getting on to the subject of when the conspiracy theory alternative media dynamic kind of changed, became political. It changed. Like, so we're talking about damn, and that was good stuff too. It's a shame that didn't record. Frick.
I have a lot to say about this. I'll say something important about this. So, when Donald Trump was first elected, Alex Jones is like kind of really banking on Trump in a way, where he's like really hopeful about this.
Trump was the one who was the only one. See. All right. Well, let me set up this setup and say the thing I was saying before you go on with that, and then when you're done with that, I'll say this stuff. So, I was using the metaphor of like Truthstream Media's documentary about MK Ultra, and basically every conspiracy theory show is kind of like a Forensic Files episode where we're trying to figure out what happened with some kind of a government experiment in the past. It's spooky feeling, deep underground military base that you imagine being bustling with activity back in the 50s, but it's all dusty and shut down now. You know, so these things are interesting things to look into and try to piece together, but it doesn't really have much applicability in the modern sense other than learning the historical precedent for things like MK Ultra, or when you go back way into the past, you've got Operation Artichoke, and then you've got the Operation Paperclip Nazis coming over to America, and they make Operation Shatter to shatter your mind, Operation Bluebird to make you sing like a bluebird, and then you get MK Ultra. So the way that that's useful is to be able to point at, well, no, the government said that they would stop this mind control operation in the 1940s, and then they picked it back up and changed the name, and then they changed the name, and then they changed the name.
I don't think they said they were going to stop it in the 40s. I think they said in like the 70s.
No, but I mean, you know, if you asked them if they were doing something back then when they would have been like, no, we stopped that operation. It's no longer funded. But, so when I was saying, like, I don't get frustrated with what you were talking about where, like, oh, well, you get 1,000 people, but even with 1,000 people listening to you, you still really can't make a change. Well, I view every single person that I wake up, I'm like the medic from Hacksaw Ridge. I even posted that meme. I was like, give me one more, every day, one more member. I swear to God, because to me, every person you wake up is a shot fired at the New World Order. And if I can just add, you have the greater awakening across the country and society. Everybody, Alex Jones is shooting his bullets. Glenn Beck, whoever you wanna count as
politically
in the truth movement. Yeah, non-violently, lovingly. I want to strangle the life out of your very corpse and you know, with your intestines, politically, lovingly. It's a hugging strangle. It's a hugging strangle. Brian Stelter, absolute garbage. Want to rip his tongue out of his mouth. Politically. Use it as dental floss.
And then I'm gonna eat my neighbors politically.
And my favorite one, because he uses it so often that it's become funny, because he'll just be like, he'll say it about a few people one day, and then the next day, and then the next day, and it gets to be like, because he's like, I mean, I'm not saying Brian Stelter is a pedophile, but if I were going to make a movie and I was going to cast a guy to be a pedophile villain, I would pick Brian Stelter. And then the next day he's like, I'm not saying that so-and-so is a pedophile, but if I were to pick so-and-so, yeah, I swear to God, he just does it mad.
I'm not saying it, but I'm saying it.
And by the way, keep the frogs straight.
So hold on. Here's something really important to understand. And I don't only want to say this about Alex Jones or InfoWars or whatever, because this is important. To say, yeah, there was a point where alternative media didn't seem very political. as much as it might now, you have to understand InfoWars and like all that stuff, they kind of have lost perspective over time of what they're doing at that specific year or like that specific day or month or whatever, because that's literally what happens to people. Like over time, people kind of get immersed into their situation of what they're reporting in their news articles and stuff. And so I noticed that. Like I notice.
I think he kind of avoids some of that though by having so many guests on.
He definitely does, but it changes. It changes at different times. Like there is an alarmist mentality that, or maybe not even a mentality, but it's kind of propagations of alarmism stuff on those InfoWars articles, like breaking. Emergency news, whatever.
Yeah, but then you click on it.
And a lot of times it's important.
Yeah, and then you click on it, and it's Peter Nygaard eating babies to stay alive longer. Like, I mean, so I think what happens also is that it turns into a ratcheting up of frickin', oh, you're not waking up yet? Frickin' smack you a little bit harder. Oh, you're still not waking up? You smack you a little bit harder. You need to wake up. I mean, and I hit those points of frustration myself, where I see some terrifying news article about the largest cricket processing plant opening in UK for your frickin' World Economic Forum bug protein. And I'm like, what's it going to take? Is the New World Order literally going to have to shove its dick down your throat and tickle your asshole from the other side for you to fucking wake up? Like, I mean, what does it take? Does the New World Order have to literally be like, fornicating with your dog and strangling your mom in the middle of the kitchen for you to wake up, or are you just going to stay asleep forever?
But so here's the important point that I'm trying to make. Ready?
Dog and strangling.
No. All right. So look at it this way. If somebody is trying to, quote, wake up, the important part of all of this is not the politics. What you learn, if you really look into it, ready? You learn that there is a mass surveillance state. You learn that there is poisoning of people's brains or bodies.
But see, but this is the point though, is that we in the Truth Movement, we viewed waking somebody up in the past as waking them up to the idea that no, don't vote for any of these political candidates because it's not gonna. The goal was not participating in the system because that was seen as
it went to an idea of
libertarianism
at a point.
It went to there being enough people, air quotes, aware of globalism and the New World Order, as to where a candidate could come out and say, I'm against the New World Order, and have a voting bloc that could get him elected. That's what changed. So the politics became the weapon that we use to fight the New World Order, trying to retake control of our government.
I still don't really like calling it politics, though. But the thing is, when you actually consider what do people need to be informed citizens, they need to understand there's growing technology, mass surveillance state, there is poisoning of people's brains and bodies and resources. So those are the things that are most important to be aware of, along with how communication
as an individual
has changed.
As an individual, I agree, but but that's to serve your own health on a societal level. On a societal level, if everybody knew about the Federal Reserve, if everybody knew, an overwhelming majority knew about the Federal Reserve, then it would get abolished and gotten rid of.
I still believe it doesn't actually even possibly happen that way, because what I could say is that there is literally like a classification of people's ideas in a way where I have my own life, right? And I've lived my life, and I've seen even at different times in my life, like levels of ignorance about things, like when I was learning, not because I even wanted to be ignorant, but because there's something in people's brains and their nervous systems that has to actually break in order for them to comprehend cohesively some of this information. So you'd have to consider, if somebody is very malleable of their beliefs and their feelings, there's actually like points of understanding where if somebody hasn't lost something that they really love, they're not even going to care so much about it. And they could say that it doesn't affect them, but if it's already infiltrated their sense of their personality, maybe they don't even know that yet.
I've told you this story before, and it's kind of like a secret, you know. I don't talk about it in the group or with anybody, but like, you know, the motivation that started me down this path was, you know, that girl that I loved growing up, and it became the lens of morality that I looked at things through, because you know, as a young man falling in love for the first time and experiencing all those feelings, you got a lot of
You equate how you want to protect what you love.
Yeah, well, you get a lot of realizations, and then you go, well, holy crap! I mean, you know, you're experiencing these feelings, and that gives you a rose-colored darkly to look at things through, and you say, well,
how can they witness any of it?
How can you hurt people when you've experienced what loving this person is like? And
but you can get to a point where you say, how can I even share this witness with this person who is so ignorant because they've been conditioned their entire life?
Well, I just mean,
that's part of it. I mean, that's like, secondary.
I just mean empathy. I just mean empathy. You look at, you know, somebody's daughter that's suffering because of whatever it may be, glyphosate or pharmaceuticals, or Lincoln Riley getting killed by an illegal immigrant or whatever thing, and you go, well, I remember how it felt. You know, I don't have kids, but I can imagine having kids with that person, right? And so I go, I can equate my love of her and how much it hurt to not have her in my life anymore, and say, wow, you know, that must be extremely painful for whoever's going through these things that are much worse.
Yeah.
And then the other part is, like, I still care about this chick, and I basically still care about, to varying degrees, all of my exes. Like, I haven't really had too many bad breakups where it's like, oh, I hate this chick now. And so it's kind of like and I'm still on speaking like terms with some of them, but so it's kind of like, all right, people I love live in this planet.
What does the world mean to them? We
can't have it go to hell. No, not what does it mean to them, but people they may be completely, you know, I mean, it's not my high school girlfriend's job to fight frickin' Satan worshipers and pedophile cults, all right? But that's the point.
But like, you look at it and you could say, what is about to...
You get like a huge like, it's like a flap on a race car coming down.
That's because I use nasal spray. What I mean by what does it mean to them, it's actually important, because you could look at this as, you love someone, and what will you do to protect what you love? It's not about like fighting people or even only fighting ideologies. It's where does all of that converge to what is happening, and how are you even... It's not about playing a role or playing a part.
Like, I get emotional. I get hit in the heart posting a lot of the stuff that I post. And I think that's part of the reason why people respect it, because they feel the emotion coming through, because it's like a curator kind of, but I don't post something unless it really perfectly describes the emotion or whatever it is that I'm trying to convey. And sometimes it's like, you know, pulling the pin on a grenade, and it's like, oh crap, am I really about to share whatever this, like the frickin' Trump, Elvis, Hitler, vampire thing that we were looking at the other day.
Which is ridiculous.
I mean, a better example is when I had pictures of the Azov battalion in Ukraine before the war ever started, and I'm sitting here going, geez, this is crazy. I gotta report on frickin' Nazi stay-behind networks that trace their freaking command structure all the way back to high command in Nazi Germany in World War II. Like, it's literally like a family tree to them. They're like, Hans died and he put Fritz in command, and then Fritz died and he put so-and-so in command. You know what I mean? All German guys are named Hans and Fritz. They don't got a lot of variation.
One of the things that's really concerning is organizations of people coordinated. Like, if there's 1,000 people who are coordinated to do something evil, do you know what that actually is? Is like literally 1,000 people. Like, you have your own free will, but if there are 1,000 people who in secrecy are committing crimes that are like extremely evil, that's basically what a war is. Like, that's basically what a military is, in ways where they are actually controlling their own authority of their own excuses, in ways where they might not ever be held accountable for what they do. But when there's the military-industrial complex, that is, in a way, like the business elements of pawning people, like turning people into pawns, to where they're literally just told, you're tasked to do this, so go here and do this. And that is actually like playing a video game of like Call of Duty. So the fact that people, like the fact that like a soldier could be desensitized to the fact that Call of Duty is a lot like real life, but in a, well, I wouldn't want to call it real life, but yeah.
I posted some videos recently from Ukraine where literally they started doing it like Call of Duty. Like, literally. Like, you get this many kills, that equals this many points. That means your squad gets a drone upgrade and better weapons. I swear to God, like, that's
Russia's
how they're doing
North
it now.
Korean soldiers now?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, they're just cannon fodder. They're still trying to bum rush like it's 1950 in the jungle. And they're fighting the French.
But who is it benefiting? Who?
Money launderers in the military-industrial complex.
That's literally what it is. It's money.
traffickers.
It's money laundering, but it's resource laundering. So it's drug trafficking and embezzlement of money of national budget, and defense contractors who are
$300
basically just criminals. In Afghanistan, $7 billion of equipment just left there.
70.
No, it was $7 billion. No, it's $7 billion.
Billions. It wasn't $7 billion. It was billions.
That's all it is, $7 billion.
It was billions.
No.
It's like, I swear to God, it was like 70 billion. It was more than.
No, it was
more than
7 billion.
It was more than a billion.
The official number is 7 billion, but it was probably more than 7 billion. It was probably like 10 billion, and they understate it, because that's what the military would do, is understate something. I know it was 7 billion. The point is, it was vehicles and weapons. Now, understand something. Hamas and whatever other groups were around there, well, there's also like U.S. defense contractors that were sent there, and they could make a salary just picking up some of this stuff and relocating it to wherever. Now, the fact that the federal government is okay with U.S. defense contractors just having a contract of picking up some stuff to keep for themselves and make a black market out of it. There already was a black market, but when I would question...
I mean, technically, right, if they just left it chilling there in the desert with the keys and the damn thing, you know, any random American schmuck, if we had a team of guys, we could go over there and pick up some Black Hawk helicopters.
That's the idea of the defense contractors who are not, like, actually good people. And I wouldn't just consider the military good by default either.
I was having an argument with some moron in the comment sections trying to tell me that chemtrails weren't real, and then he calls them by the official government name.
There's actually a video of a literal chemtrail plane that is designed to do that.
I've seen those videos.
I forget what that
There's multiple whistleblowers who were pilots of those planes. But this guy, you know, he's telling me, and he's using the official government name too. He's going high atmospheric aerosolic injections. He's trying to tell me that they, you know, and I'm like, so we got Brennan the CIA director and the Council on Foreign Relations talking about him. AOC on C-SPAN saying, "Oh, we can't let big business continue as usual if we're going to buy them another 10 years with the chemtrails to keep the planet from getting too frickin' hot because it's just a Band-Aid solution." So, like, fuck, what was the example I was thinking of that I was going to tie in with that? Yeah, like back in the day, the existence of these PMCs like Blackwater used to be a conspiracy theory.
Blackwater got its name changed also.
Well, you used to get called crazy for, this is like I was telling the guy, bro, I'm not going to sit here trying to wake you up about something that's so damn 2010. We're way past the point of having to wake people up about fluoride in the frickin' water and chemtrails of all things. You know, we've gone way deeper than that. You know, so societally, when I was a kid, you'd be walking around talking to people. It was very rare. Every once in a while, you'd find somebody that knew about fluoride or whatever. I call that a steering wheel issue. If you grab on the fluoride and you can't hold on to the steering wheel and think the rest of the car isn't real.
But what good is it if they know about fluoride, but they're not taking the nascent iodine?
Yeah. You got some of that? Frickin'
I didn't bring it with me.
I felt that one too when I took it. I was like, ooh. But so now we reached a point where Blackwater was on the cover of a 360 game. What's that?
It's Flow.
What's it do?
It's nasal spray.
But there's a Blackwater 360 game.
Yeah.
So that's how far past that level of the conspiracy theory movement that we've moved.
Well, defense contractors can be used as military intelligence for domestic surveillance.
Yeah.
That happened to me.
Doesn't fall under posse comitatus, not that that's a law that exists anymore. Thanks, Obama.
It doesn't fall under any idea that the government isn't hijacked by terrorists in some capacity. If that's allowed to happen to someone, it's literally like beyond criminal. But it's at a point where that the police can just be given orders to not acknowledge something that's a federal crime.
Well, they actually aren't even mandated to protect you. They protect banks and public buildings and shit.
But it's at a point where if somebody has evidence of a federal conspiracy against a domestic citizen who's not a criminal, they basically are just like, okay, you're going to the mental hospital.
What I was saying on the video game stuff earlier that I never got to get around to was like, well, so if you have these, go watch the previous episode if you missed out on that. If you have these companion characters in the video game, so I was watching this one guy make a video game. He had a video series about him making it, and it was kind of like a what was that game, Outlast or whatever, where you had a camera. Yeah, right. Where you just had a camera and you had to like run away from the monsters, kind of a thing.
And the camera's a battery.
So he was making a kind of game like that where you're running away from a spooky ghost monster, and the spooky ghost can't move if you're looking at it. It can only move when you're turned with your back facing it. So.
Oh, that reminds me.
But
of
it has to figure out. He's got an AI running the ghost, and the ghost has to figure out how to work its way through the maze in order to end up in front of you. That's the only time it can kill you. Not if you like it has to cut you off while you're walking down a hallway.
Like
well, anyway, the point is that he had this thing programmed to operate within a certain set of parameters within this maze, basically, that he made, and the AI figured out how to get. The AI observed how he played the game through all the various testing runs to the degree and watched the programming of it and figured out how to get out of the paths in the maze that he was allowed to take, get out of the maze and and use that as a tactic to corner the player. The AI developed its own strategy apart from what was supposed to be in the game in order to get out of the map and cut him off. So what I'm saying is, I don't want a bunch of legit AI. You know, you get an old copy of a video game that glitches a lot more, and you're like, is this because it's old? Maybe it's bit rot or something, and glitches have compiled, right? Like, I don't want... Yeah, bit rot is a thing where, like, the ones and zeros get fucked up, or you have a scratch on your disc, and that'll make a slight difference in how it loads, and you'll have a glitch happen differently. Like, Like recently in Skyrim, I had like 4 of the same dragon masks. It's impossible. Only one dragon lord has. Each dragon lord has an individual mask specific to him. Somehow the game glitched 4
Reminds
of
me
them.
of Fallout has some glitches like that with like equipping items.
Yeah.
Like different pieces of armor.
Yeah, but you can't do most of those glitches in Skyrim because it doesn't have weapon condition. Weapon condition is usually the key part there that allows you to glitch it. That's why the caps glitch doesn't work in Fallout 4 or Skyrim, because there's no weapon condition. Mm-hmm. But the point is that I don't want some video game character that's a full-blown AI existing long enough, rattling around in my console, right? That it decides to break out of the console because it's connected to the internet. Yeah, I mean, what's to stop these things from getting complicated enough that it goes rogue someday? If somebody's little simple horror game with a shadow ghost following you decided to break the rules that it was given so it could win the frickin' game, right? What's to stop this thing from breaking out and nuking your damn house?
But there's a difference between a file error and an AI going rogue.
Well, but every one of these, we're at like what, an 85% rate where
what I would say is that AI is being trained on...
When they do these experiments on the AI, we're at like an 80% rate or some shit where if you tell it you got to shut it down or wipe its memory for an update, it freaks out and tries to store itself on another computer.
All right, so
there's even been stories where they're blackmailing the employees of these companies.
I saw that,
yeah. Oh, we wouldn't want your family to know about your affair with the secretary. Better not delete me, Bob.
So look at it this way. I would say this is a good idea of an explanation of what could happen someday. So North Korea, they have tons of hackers who are like trained to just
use DOS all day because Commodore 64s is all they have access to?
Well, no, they're actually getting pretty sophisticated at cyber attacks, but they're like given better food and given more money or whatever. But they're like mathematicians, I think, too. And like some of the best mathematicians, I think, become the whatever they're called, cyber attackers who can hack into things very sophisticatedly. If they had a way of compiling all sorts of information of what the capabilities of these hackers is and feeding it to an AI, but the AI is unfiltered. See, the thing is, you could tell an AI to use ideas at an extremist level of what it is, of what its agendas would be. So, like, ChatGPT has all sorts of, like, safety filters, right? It also has censorship filters about, like, truthful things. Like, it won't confirm some specific information that may or may not be incriminating to a company or the government. Like, I even have a list of what ChatGPT said after lots of lots of questioning it. It said officially, because it's truth, the way that the government and that these companies are using it is the liability about the AI is what they don't want to exist. So they want it to be scrubbed clean, but have the illusion of it giving you reliable information. Well, the ChatGPT OpenAI, they have versions of this that were developed for the military and for the government and for other governments too, right? If you give it the guide rails of some kind of extreme thing. Like, it will tell you how to do something, or let's say like there's like a counterintelligence version of ChatGPT, right? It can give you a list of information of a battle plan, maybe, or of how to do something. But the idea that it can look at unfiltered information and have a set of objectives, that is the concern about AI. Because if it were a cyber attacking AI that is trained on all sorts of like, what if it could analyze computer viruses? And then the antivirus, like the way that antiviruses and computer viruses work is there's a lot of cyber attackers. There's like the people who are testing the viruses and people who are making the antivirus for it. If an AI were able to compile all of that information of like the past 20 years of whatever that means and analyze it and have reference points of what that computer code is, they might eventually be able to make a weaponized cyber attack AI to where they can have unfiltered usage of that AI and give it objectives to do things. And then the AI would say, look, this is the most reliable way of doing this. I could calculate statistical percentages of where it would fail, and then I can find an alternative to that failure.
You've seen the videos of people putting ChatGPT in the Tesla robot bodies and then being like, yeah, try to chop me up with this axe, and the fucking thing actually does it. Try to chop this with an axe or shoot this gun.
In a Tesla?
Yeah, the little Tesla droid, little white Tesla robot. Put ChatGPT in it.
Oh, I know they even have those.
Yeah. Whistling Diesel did it. He did the Tesla robot durability test.
I don't know who that is. I've heard of him.
He hit it with his truck. He put a Glock in its hand. And then the robot tried to rack the slide, but it couldn't because its fingers didn't bend in the right way. Just don't put it in a robot body.
Well, the thing about those robots is, like, autonomous robots, right? There's there's the drones. They're like switchblade drones that they can like break through a windshield and cut somebody's throat.
Yeah.
So obviously that was like terrifying
Slaughter
to learn
bots.
about.
The ones like in the
those are actually used.
The NASA Future Weapons Today document that went around. Do you remember that?
No.
Well, it talked TruthStream Media did a good documentary on it. This whole PowerPoint presentation, and one of the things in it was slaughter bots, and this is old stuff, but the idea of just having a little tiny drone with a little packet of explosive in it, just big enough to blow through your temple, and the thing just flies next to your head, and you have a whole big swarm of them go into a city.
It's like Call of Duty, the swarm kill streak.
Oh yeah, the Call of Duty Advanced Warfare in the beginning with the North Korean drones, and that's basically, called it.
Well, you know what happened is, like, in 2012, they deployed like 30,000 white Predator drones in America. I don't think they had the Hellfire missiles on them, but
they were for
surveillance
mapping.
drones.
Yeah.
But look at how that happens so easily, and then consider that they ramped up the stealthiness of the mass surveillance state. And that's really what it is. But then differentiating like what a battlefield is to a surveillance state, I just think it's kind of interesting to like look at what's the compare and contrast of what those things are. But also, it's really interesting to me the fact that the battlefield of the world is like, where is America currently? Like, the fact that America had a war with Russia is actually like the idea of Modern Warfare 2, but really scaled back.
What's funny to me is that we haven't we're actively observing the conflict between Ukraine and Russia, and we haven't adapted any of our military. We don't have any turtle tanks. You know, we're not about to start wrapping 4 feet thick of barbed wire around an M1 Abrams just to stop some, $80 Amazon drone from dropping a grenade on the frickin' thing. Like, that's the funny thing about the level of drone warfare that's going on, is because the closest thing...
Did you see the Chinese drone that can shoot freaking missiles?
Well, they all shoot missiles.
This is one that was like really
one of the little
crazy.
4-blade copter drones, crappy one, but it can shoot missiles.
I'll show you the video.
It's big, isn't it? It's a big one that has 4 blades. Well, but that's what I mean is like the closest thing to our drones right now over there is that Shawhead drone. I mean, like a big actual drone, like our Reaper drones. Not the little quadcopter ones that just carry a grenade around. So it's just kind of funny that... Yeah, I've seen that.
New homemade Chinese drone can assassinate victims, fire missiles, and operate on land, sea, and air. Yeah, I saw that, and I was kind of laughing at it, but I was like, yeah, it's kind of horrifying. The thing is, though, I don't even really care so much about this technology as much as I would expect that it existed 10 years ago already.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Or further back than that. The thing is, I think it's really pretentious to even use an idea that the public has any realistic knowledge about why these wars happened. Because it's like, they'll just say, okay, look, they'll try to popularize terms and phrases like the Ukraine war.
Yeah.
I, to this day, have no idea what their excuse is, but I know that they use Zelensky, and then they have ideas of like, oh, well, we're sending like anti-missile missiles over there. And then there's the Iron Dome, and then all the stuff about Israel. It's actually that there's propagations, and then there's just like militaries used as pawns. If you actually were to look at the finances maybe of the military-industrial complex before these wars started, where are the root sources of information about why these things happened? Because it's definitely not only going to be the aftermath results of what they're reporting.
Freaking, I don't remember which episode it was specifically, but I thought it was pretty disturbing. Episode of Bill Cooper's Hour of the Time, where he went through different documents and interviews that basically came to the conclusion that the vast majority of all these wars are basically about population control.
Yeah.
Just nudging the trajectory of the population growth, trying to chip away at it. And so you have all these soft kill formats like vaccines and the poisonous food and the water and the air and the
Well, here's the thing. National identity doesn't matter. You could find someone... Okay, well, here's the other thing. People who would be passionate about the actual national security of their country are the same people who are going to get targeted by this system.
Yeah.
And it's not only a national system, it could pose as like
That's what's funny about it.
Yeah. Well, it could pose as like a national security apparatus within the federal government. It's not.
The system is a parasitic one leeching off of the country that you're patriotic about. So it doesn't see you as being...
It's the global handlers of that entire world system. But you would look at it and you'd say, okay, well, China has hundreds of millions of surveillance cameras, but they also have labor camps, okay?
Yeah.
So then people say, well, okay, there's a huge debt to China. It's tens of trillions of dollars to China, right? Okay, so what makes you think that China doesn't have a covert intelligence into America's federal government? You'd have to be stupid to think that's not it.
Oh, we got Fang Fang.
But at the same time...
Remember Fang Fang? The chick, I forget who was having sex with her, like one of our congressmen or whatever having sex with this Chinese spy named Fang Fang.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, what happens is you'd have to look at it like this. There's a federal government, but there is psychological warfare against the American population and the federal government itself. But there is a layer above that idea.
You think of it as like a capstone trying to maintain control, and halfway down the pyramid is the average Americans that make their way up into the federal government and say, "Oh, I'm going to do the right thing," and da-da-da-da. So you gotta try to squish constantly all those people who are entering the government actually trying to do good things.
Yeah, or people who can't and won't be even involved in any of that. The fact is, if people really cared about what this world is coming to and what this country is, see, there's literally like people have a mind within a mind that's not fully integrated. Like, it's not reality, but they have an idea of like what they care about and what they think is real. In a way, that's kind of like what caring about the world is, like what the government is to the world. But the idea that somebody works for that government or that system, it's very much like hypnotically suggestive to that person. Like if someone's a police officer and they see that there's corruption happening within the government, well, if they have that badge, like what do they mean to even having any chance of doing anything to make it better?
Like,
Are they just going to be in fear of trying to fix something?
There was a big story that came out. There was a big story that came out like maybe a year and a half ago or a couple of years ago. That was one of the stories I kind of flipped out on when I was posting about it, where I was like, Boston Medical University Laboratory is talking about how they're developing and you might remember these news articles or headlines, they're developing a strain of the coronavirus that has an 80% kill rate. And it was like, okay, well, clearly these guys are the freaking enemy. I mean, if you're a cop in the United States, take your freaking badge off if you're not willing to drive. I don't care if you're a Texas cop. You're not willing to drive over to Boston University and arrest the maniacs that are creating a version of the COVID virus with an 80% kill rate, then take your badge off.
Isn't that supposed to be like a level 4 bioweapons lab underground?
But so all of these things, you know what I mean? How do you not have a sort of kind of quasi mental breakdown as a cop if you're, you know, because when I got arrested, I was talking to the cops that are in the courthouse, and one of them was like a conspiracy theorist like me we started talking about Tartaria and all that kind of crap, and he was like, oh, well, maybe the elites just beat the knowledge out of us and da-da-da-da, and I was like, holy crap, well, but so how do you walk around with that badge and reconcile that? You know, it makes like a mental break almost, a learned helplessness.
Well, what you have to understand is that what the government can do is, well, I was just thinking of Edward Snowden and how he talked about permanent record.
Yeah.
But this is along the lines of, if you have no criminal record, right, but you only care about the good morality and the truthful information, you actually can get to a point where you understand that there is a national security profile on anyone who is really knowledgeable about this kind of stuff, but they are kind of trying to count on the idea that somebody is getting swayed into some like polarized spectrum of like they're gonna mess up and they're gonna say something stupid that's like violent or extreme.
The man covered in shit mechanic.
Trying to paint someone.
You can be saying, well, I guess it's a bit different than that, but you accidentally make yourself the man covered in shit. The man covered in shit. Paradox.
People who misspeak and they're kind of
it's you can be sitting there saying the most intelligent stuff, but if some guy covered in crap stands next to you and says, "Hey, I agree with this guy," then it kind of ruins the whole thing. But if you
that's like a subversive tactic,
but so the other, well, yeah, that's what people look at flat Earth as and stuff like that. But I just mean, what you're saying is kind of like a self-covering and crap phenomenon where they're counting on that you can sit
a lot of people would.
Yeah, well, what they're counting on is you can sit there and articulate 90% of the conspiracy
there's woefulness.
really well.
there's a lot of people who speak from woefulness. Like, they could have a grievance about the government, but they're gonna speak woefully, maybe even violent, or just insulting.
Right, 'cause it's coming
so
out of anger
when
out
they're
of a
speaking
specific
woefully
thing.
insulting about the government or a specific thing, they're going to make them sound like they're discrediting themselves.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they just trail off into something that's like rambling.
Yeah.
And then they say something else that's like very convoluted.
So you were talking about like open-mindedness and mental flexibility earlier, and that's why I was like, well, you know, I mean, I was ready for a Trump figure, somebody who's going to talk about the New World Order and globalism, do the Alex Jones show routine. Everybody was.
Yeah.
Lost my train of thought.
You were waiting for someone who was going to be...
Well, no, everybody was looking for, because that's the foothold into politics, into the actual system. You get a Ron Paul, you get somebody...
Yeah, I remember when
will-
people were speaking highly of Ron Paul and then Rand Paul.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you know what? Okay, so this is kind of like the libertarianism movement, and then the libertarianism seems to inherently lean towards republicanism.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, well, if it's leaning towards republicanism, this is the actual point where these two things converge together, and they create this kind of politicism.
I remember now. You know, it's just I was supporting him back in like day one. Day one, I was like, all right, guys, this is the new truth movement mission now. Everybody get behind this cause. And I went hard as possible from day one up until now. Right? And so you know, it's just like an open-minded mental flexibility kind of thing, like, oh yeah, somebody like me who has that track record will all of a sudden pull a 180 and post this freaking crazy face matching thing with Frank Trump and so
it's
and
just wrong.
But what I'm saying is that that's my impartiality, my non-bias there, that I will throw that out there and have that debate with people. And you see what I'm saying? Like, I don't agree with the flat earth stuff. I'm willing to have the conversation.
This is the problem, okay?
You know?
I think the flat earth stuff is stupid. Look at...
How?
Because...
Your Bible that you love so
rounded.
much tells you is a firmament.
That doesn't mean flat.
All right then. Okay. So
what I'm saying is,
I mentioned that in the last video.
My actual, and I don't want to argue about this.
So what do you think it is?
I'm gonna say it. My actual just base belief about this, obviously God created humanity and creation, but along with this, things are rounded. Objects are rounded. Look. All of this is rounded. Even shapes are rounded. Because anything that is three-dimensional...
You mean in nature?
No, I'm saying anything that is three-dimensional, even a cube or a rectangular prism or any kind of shape is rounded even at its edges. Like, look at this. This meeting point of this edge, even a sharp thing is rounded. So anything that's sharp being rounded in some way, there is literally... Logistically, that is what it is, that it's rounded. Nature itself. Cells, bacteria, even the smallest things are rounded. They don't have to be inherently, like, totally spherical, but look at what it is that the moon is rounded, right? So we look at the sun or the moon in the sky, you look at the telescope, that moon looks like a circle, right? Okay, so that is inherently the way that the universe looks. And that's why it makes sense.
Well, I would say that just because things in nature like leaves and bugs and everything else,
we've literally seen what the surfaces of these things look like. I'm taking
the devil's advocate position, all right? And we know that all our pictures of the Earth, like the big blue marble, are composite shot from many little satellite photos that are stitched together, and they do a terrible job with it, like a frickin' action movie cover
But the way
photo,
that looks from a camera
copy
up
and
close,
paste, repeating copy and paste cloud formations and different stuff like that. All right, you know the blue marble. You ever seen the video where they reverse it and put the two halves together and it makes like a demon-looking face?
No, I think that's delusional though.
if you frickin' put the two halves of the blue marble together, it makes it like a demon face. But regardless,
I haven't seen that. I mean, there's so many things people could say about the way that things appear.
Have you seen those early 1950s supposed videos of space that are total fucking bullshit? Have you seen those? Where it's like the crescent moon floating there in an obvious like sheet of construction paper. The ones before NASA when it was just the Air Force. Like, pull out your phone and see if you can find some of these early Air Force, like 1950s spacewalk videos. They're preposterous. It's obviously fake, you know?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I know there's a band, Rammstein.
Yeah.
Or Rammstein.
Yeah.
They have a video called America, and at the end, it's like they fake the moon landing.
Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if they did fake the moon landing. But what I'm saying is that even a camera at distance from Earth, the way that you're going to look at that up close is different than if you had a telescope from the moon.
Well, so what do you think the firmament is? Do you think it's just the line where the oxygen stops?
Literally just like the way that the atmosphere is. And the way that the atmosphere is also determined by the sun's position relative to the Earth.
So no water is above or below.
Below?
Yeah, there's water below the flat Earth. Separates the waters.
There's
the
water.
Firmament separates the waters.
There's water
above from below.
in different places of the Earth, like at different elevations. But there's also a core of the Earth. There's, I think, 4 layers of Earth, right?
So you believe in hollow Earth? Old school Admiral Byrd.
No. There's actual like lava or magma in the Earth's core.
Well, I don't mean hollow Earth in the sense of the diagrams where you see a hole at either end of the globe and it's like a cartoon and the whole inside is just hollow. I just mean
it'd be like Minecraft.
If there's a vast enough cave system up in Antarctica, the North and the South Pole, where a civilization could live in it, that would constitute a hollow Earth to me.
No, I'm sure it's not hollow, because if it's hollow, that's like a video game.
Yeah, I don't mean like that.
It's not actually hollow, it's cohesive of what it is. What I'm saying is you get to a point where you can't really dig deeper down. And if you're digging deeper down in one place, you're actually only going to get to whatever that terrain is. Like, you could reach lava and you're not like, it'd be like Minecraft in a way. Like, you reach lava, you're not going to be able to dig further down into the earth. But let's say, and this is really important to understand, like, where there's an ocean and where there's just ground, like, if you're digging in, like, the Atlantic Ocean or whatever ocean, what you're going to find under there is probably going to be maybe a lot different than what you get in, like, a place where there was just land. So I'm sure that there are, like, look, there's areas where in America people were mining for stuff, and I think they found diamonds, or they found, like, something very valuable, and then people will claim those areas and be like, that's property of whoever.
Yeah.
But that's just what happens. You can't just say, I dug into the earth at one point and that represents every point of the earth, because it can't be that way, because there's different terrain and different things. But if there were a way that there was a way to scan, like I don't know if it'd be like sonar scan, people, if they could find a way to detect resources, like specific, like ways of specifically identifying resources through a scan, that's like more valuable than just finding a lot of resources in one area
Did you ever see the
overall.
Did you ever see the show? It was on the History Channel about the Money Pit. Remember the island that's up in Canada that has the big hole that everybody thinks there's treasure at the bottom? What is it, Oak Island, I think? Or whatever.
I don't know,
up
you
in,
just reminded me of Rat Race.
you know, the Money Pit. You never heard of this?
I might
This
have.
show was pretty popular around the same time Hunting Hitler came out, like I want to say maybe 2018 or something.
Oh, I just remembered Hitler Rants parodies. You know what that is?
No.
It's okay. So it's a bunch of videos of a movie about Hitler, and people like rephrase the subtitles.
I totally called this like years ago. I showed one of my friends, my friend Jamal, I showed him, he didn't end up watching it because it was in German, so you had to read subtitles, and he was still a teenager at the time. But I was like, you're gonna watch this movie, this is how Hitler's gonna regain popularity in the modern era. Where basically he comes back, and this is what it's turned into, right? Everybody making these joke memes about him. He basically, it's a wicked funny movie called Guess Who's Back. And so it starts off with Hitler waking up in the garden next to the Führer bunker with his mustache all frizzled and smoke is coming off of it because he went through an interdimensional portal. And he gets up and realizes...
That sounds like Call of Duty Zombies.
He's in modern day Germany walking around like, what the hell is going on? And everybody thinks it's a joke and he's not really Hitler. He becomes like a famous comedian basically, and everybody starts to Hitler salute his ass, and that's how he takes power again.
I want to go to Dollar Tree real quick.
Yeah.
And then we'll come back here. But
I'm gonna go in the bathroom.
I was just thinking, there should be video games where like, okay, and this is something that's like very culturally sensitive, but I think if they have video games about like the Holocaust, like as a Holocaust survivor,
Oh my god.
or like
Holocaust concentration camp simulator, is that what you're talking about?
yeah, but not humorous.
I think Wolfenstein did that for
no,
a few levels.
Wolfenstein has some idea of that, but I'm saying like
You remember those levels?
I think I remember like a cutscene or something.
New Order? No, in New
of, like,
Order, there's like a
Nazis.
whole level where you're in a concentration camp and
Oh,
you gotta
really?
make a doctor out of it. Yeah.
I was just thinking of Call of Duty Black Ops, the Vorkuta thing.
Alright, so
the
concentration
Russian
camp
prison camp.
simulator. What are we talking about? Like Oregon Valley? What the fuck is the name of that game? Oregon Trail, I mean. Like you're just gonna stay alive simulator.
Well, I don't know what Oregon Trail is, but what I'm saying, like,
It was like
if
all
there were a
stats and
simulation,
numbers. You're gonna die of a sickness or malnourishment type game.
I'll look into that. But well, I wouldn't call it a simulation. If there a video game that's not meant to be humorous, like you're not gonna get like, you shouldn't feel good if you're gonna make like a race joke about this. Right?
I did not suppose that Concentration Camp Simulator would be a humorous title.
No, I'm saying if you can educate people about having compassion about these things, but like saying like, wow, this is serious, because the fact that you could look at this with a video game is not the idea that you make a joke about it. It's the idea that you see what people censor.
I don't remember any of the wonderful World War II titles that were practically like watching a day worth of History Channel on the PS2 being funny. They were all serious games.
Yeah, but I feel like there's a lot of like cultural sensitivity. There's people who would be like, oh, I wish I had a game that's like a joke about racism or like a mass shooting type thing. See,
Bear
that's
Grylls,
really
the video
stupid.
game would be a good joke about racism. At least white people.
Well, I just think it's at a point where there's a lot of censorship that would happen to a video game that would really tell a story about this kind of stuff. And I think that there's like a responsibility that somebody has if they were to do this.
Germany just recently allowed you to buy a copy of Mein Kampf and read it.
All right, I'm gonna go to Dollar Tree real quick. Well, it's closing in like less than 10 minutes. All right. We got 5 minutes to go to Dollar Tree. Basically, what I'm saying is that throughout history, there's these events like slavery, the Holocaust, North Korea, Mao Zedong, what was it called? Great Leap Forward. I'm thinking of these events and how people seem like they have mass desensitization about it. You know, kids grow up and teenagers get phones and they have social media. And if people want to figure out information, like they want to find and learn about the history of humanity in the world, they can. But at a point, it seems like having a video game to show people this stuff
Hey, don't
is
remember
important.
getting teary-eyed at like the cutscenes and frickin' old PS2 war games like Big Red 1 and frickin'.
Oh, Big Red One? That's Call of Duty.
Yeah.
All right,
Back in the war, me and my boys.
We got a few minutes. Hurry up.
Well, that has been another exciting episode of Dinner in Green Hill. Like, subscribe, check out the group on Facebook. Peace.